On July 31st, 1999, two 17-year-old girls, J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett, were brutally murdered on their way back from a birthday party in Ozark, Alabama. According to reports, the girls were found in the trunk of one of their cars with a bullet in each of their heads. Postmortem tests also revealed that the girls were brutally raped, forced into the car trunk, and then shot in the head. The case, however, went cold for nearly 2 decades, as investigators were unable to determine the killer, leaving their families and the community with unanswered questions and a sense of justice denied. But in 2019, a breakthrough in DNA technology led to the arrest of someone no one would have ever suspected. The criminal was a pastor. This is the twisted case of Minister Coley McCraney. J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett were best friends. The two of them shared similar interests and values and were a significant part of each other's lives. The two girls were inseparable, often spending hours discussing music, books, and their plans for the future. But things took a dark turn on the day J.B. Beasley turned 17. The day started out really well as the girls met up at J.B.'s place where they had breakfast. Tracie wished her dear friend a happy birthday and told her about the arrangement she made for a birthday party later that evening. With a lot to look forward to, the girls decided to get in the mood by going shopping, after which they spent some quality time at JB's parents' place. That evening, they headed off in JB's car to a friend's house far away for the birthday party. At the party, candles were blown, wine bottles popped open, and there was so much joy in the air. So much so that the girls forgot they were about to miss their curfew. Around 10:30 p.m., the girls bid their friends farewell, hopped in JB's car, and drove off. But little did their friends know that they would be the last time they saw the girls. They were last seen driving away in JB's car, a white Pontiac Sunfire, after the party that night. On their way, Tracie stopped at a payphone to call her mom, who she knew was worried, to let her know she was kind of lost but okay and she would find her way home shortly. After Tracie hung up, no one heard from the girls, and to their parents' surprise, they never made it home. Both sets of parents only knew that their kids went for a birthday party and should have returned that night, but they never did. The girls' disappearance sparked an immediate search that lasted for only a few hours, as the next morning their bodies were found in the trunk of a car parked on a rural road. Both girls had been shot dead. Their car, a white Pontiac, was found on Herring Avenue, less than a mile from the payphone Tracie used to call her mother. The police found no signs of forced entry or foul play, but the car was covered in mud and almost out of gas. The girls' purses and jewelry remained intact, dismissing the idea of a robbery, but the car keys were missing. One of the victims, J.B. Beasley, was a vibrant and compassionate 17-year-old born on October 12, 1981 in Ozark, Alabama, to loving parents Hilton Lanier Beasley and Cheryl Burgood. She was the eldest of 2 children, with a younger brother, Jake. From a young age, JB was known for her infectious smile, kind heart, and strong sense of justice. Growing up in Ozark, she was an active member of her community who attended Ozark High School and participated in various extracurricular activities. She was a talented cheerleader, a member of the school's choir, and an avid volunteer at local charities. Her friends and family described her as a loyal and supportive individual who always put others before herself. Much like her, her best friend Tracie Hawlett was a gentle and artistic 17-year-old who was born on February 24, 1982, in Dothan, Alabama, to loving parents Carol and Robert Hawlett. She was the middle child, with an older sister Tiffany and a younger brother Tyler. Tracie's family moved to Ozark, Alabama when she was a young girl, and she spent her formative years in the small town. Tracie was a creative and introspective individual with a passion for music, writing, and art. She was an avid reader and enjoyed writing poetry and short stories. Her friends and family described her as a loyal and empathetic listener, always willing to lend a helping hand or a supportive ear. The news of the tragic death of the teenage girls sent shockwaves through the small town of Ozark, Alabama, leaving a community reeling in disbelief. Despite a thorough investigation, the police could not determine who the killer was. They struggled to find any leads and to identify possible suspects. In September 1999, a man named Johnny Barentine was arrested and charged with 2 counts of capital murder. He claimed to have witnessed a man killing the girls, but his story changed multiple times during the 4-hour interview. Eventually, he admitted to fabricating the whole story to get the reward money. His DNA also didn't match the semen found on JP's body and clothing and was released from jail in December 1999. The case went cold for more than a decade, but the Ozark Police Department never gave up. They pursued countless leads, interviewed numerous suspects, and explored various theories. Investigations led them to a man from Michigan who attended a party near where the car was found. A driver of a small white pickup truck seen at the Big Little store around the time the girls were there was also looked into. However, the police and investigators could not find any evidence to support their recent leads, which made what they had nothing more than suspicions. But after years of trying, in March 2019, a DNA match was made using genetic genealogy, a revolutionary technique that analyzes DNA from public genealogy databases. With this insane leap in technology, the community was left in shock when Minister Coley McCraney, a 45-year-old former pastor and friend of the victims' families, was arrested and charged with the murders. The entire community was stunned by the news. How could someone they trusted and respected be capable of such a heinous crime? Until his arrest, it would have been almost impossible to picture Coley McCraney as a killer. McCraney was a respected minister and community leader born on November 16, 1973 in Ozark, Alabama, to parents John and Mary McCraney. He was the youngest of 3 children, with 2 older sisters, and grew up in a tight-knit family deeply rooted in their Christian faith. McCraney spent his childhood developing a strong sense of spirituality and a desire to serve others. He was an active member of his church, Ozark Baptist Church, and participated in various youth groups and community service projects. On graduation from Ozark High School in 1992, McCraney attended the University of Alabama, where he earned a degree in religious studies. He later attended the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, earning a master's degree in divinity. McCraney's career in ministry began in the late 1990s, when he became the youth pastor at Ozark Baptist Church. McCraney quickly gained a reputation as a charismatic and compassionate leader, beloved by his congregation and respected by his peers. Following the DNA results from the sample, McCraney was arrested and accused of murdering J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett, both teenagers who were under his mentorship and guidance. But how McCraney got hold of the girls that very night remains one of the few mysteries that is yet to be uncovered. JB's connection to Coley McCraney began through her church, Ozark Baptist Church. JB and her family were active members of the church, and McCraney often mentored the youth group, which JB was a part of. Over time, she grew close to McCraney, seeking guidance and advice from him on various issues, including her relationships and future plans. McCraney's charisma and leadership qualities made him a trusted figure in JB's life. Just like her friend, Tracie attended Ozark Baptist Church and met Coley McCraney through the church. Tracie also became close to McCraney, who became a mentor and confidant. She sought his guidance on her spiritual journey and shared her creative writing with him, valuing his opinion and feedback. The young girls could have never imagined they would meet their demise at the hands of their mentor, and neither did their parents. After an agonizing wait of over 2 decades, McCraney's trial was a dramatic and emotional roller coaster. He testified that he had consensual sex with JB on the night of the murders, but prosecutors argued that he appeared with a gun, ordered the victims back into their cars, and executed them. Finally, on April 18, 2023, a jury delivered a guilty verdict, and on June 22, 2023, Circuit Judge William Fillmore sentenced McCraney to life in prison without the possibility of parole, bringing a sense of closure to the ones of the victims. The sentencing proceedings unfolded over 2 court sessions, each a significant milestone in the pursuit of justice. The first session took place on April 18, 2023 at the Dale County Courthouse in Ozark, Alabama, with Judge William Fillmore presiding. The second session, held on June 22, 2023, marked the culmination of a tireless effort by investigators, prosecutors, and the judicial system to ensure that McCraney faced the consequences of his heinous crimes. The key piece of evidence that led to McCraney's conviction was the DNA result, a breakthrough made possible through advances in genetic genealogy and the relentless efforts of investigators. This crucial discovery, combined with other vital findings, was used to build a strong case against McCraney, ultimately leading to his conviction and sentence. The reaction of the Ozark Baptist Church to the news of Coley McCraney's crime was initially a mix of shock, support, and spiritual reflection. McCraney had been an active member of the local religious community, including his involvement in a church called HOD, Heart of Gold, where he was listed as a bishop and co-founder. When he was arrested in 2019, members of the church expressed disbelief and rallied in support of McCraney and his family. The pastor of HOD Heart of Gold, James Lee Fuller, posted a message on the church's Facebook page expressing their prayers and support for McCraney, highlighting his background as a God-loving, family-first, peaceful, military-serving, hard-working father, husband, son, uncle, cousin, and brother. The reaction underscored the community's difficulty reconciling the charges against McCraney with the man they knew. For the parents of J.B. Beasley, Hilton Lanier Beasley and Cheryl Stout Beasley, the devastating revelation was a nightmare come true. A heart-wrenching experience that would test their strength, resilience, and unwavering dedication to seeking justice for their beloved daughter. Cheryl and Hilton Beasley recall the fateful day when their world was shattered into a million pieces. They had been searching for JB and her friend Tracie Hawlett after they failed to return home from a birthday party. The agonizing wait for news ended with a knock on the door from the Ozark Police Department. The officers' somber faces and gentle words could not prepare the Beasleys for the horror that was to come. The news of JB's death left them in shock. Their lives were forever changed in an instant. In the days and weeks that followed, Cheryl and Hilton struggled to come to terms with their loss. The pain was palpable and the grief was overwhelming. They remembered JB's bright smile, her infectious laughter, and her boundless energy. The thought of their daughter's final moments and the terror she must have faced was a constant torment. The Beasleys' anguish was compounded by the knowledge that their daughter's life was brutally cut short, her potential unfulfilled, and her dreams left unchased. For the family of Tracie Hawlett, the murder of Tracie left them devastated. Tracie's parents, particularly her mother, Carol Hawlett, has since then been vocal about the immense sorrow and sense of loss they have endured over the years. Tracie's father, Robert Hawlett, a Dothan police officer, had tragically died in 1987, so Carol had to navigate the devastating events surrounding Tracie's death without him. Carol remarried, and her husband, Michael Roberts, supported her through the difficult times that followed the murder. Carol Roberts described the heart-wrenching experience of losing her daughter as the hardest thing she had ever faced. She poignantly recalled the pain of holidays and family gatherings, always feeling the absence of Tracie, who should have been there to celebrate with them. In the face of overwhelming evidence and a damning verdict, Jeanette McCraney, the convict's wife, remained resolute in her belief in her husband's innocence. As the wife of Coley McCraney, Jeanette's unwavering devotion raised eyebrows and sparked both admiration and criticism. Throughout the years, Jeanette has steadfastly maintained that her husband is innocent of the crimes that shook the small town of Ozark, Alabama. Her alibi for Coley on the fateful night of the murders was a crucial aspect of his defense. According to Jeanette, Coley left their house around 10 p.m. to visit his parents and their 5-year-old son in Johnstown, a mere 2.5 miles away from their home. This claim had been a cornerstone in McCraney's defense, with Jeanette's unwavering testimony serving as a testament to her unshakable faith in her husband's innocence. Jeanette's dedication to her husband was nothing short of remarkable. Despite the mounting evidence against Coley, she continued to stand by him, weathering the storm of public scrutiny and condemnation. Her resolve was a beacon of hope for the McCraney family, who clung to her unwavering belief in Coley's innocence as a lifeline. For the parents and friends of the victims, the arrest and eventual conviction of Coley McCraney in 2019, after DNA evidence linked him to the crime, brought some closure to the case. However, the trial, which concluded with McCraney's life sentence in 2023, reopened old wounds. Carol expressed her grief and the enduring pain of losing her daughter during the trial, emphasizing the lasting impact Tracie's death has had on their family. The lengthy period before the case was resolved added to their agony, highlighting the challenges of living with unanswered questions for 2 decades. The trial also underscored the emotional toll on the families of both victims. Despite the conviction providing some form of justice, the sorrow and anger over the loss of Tracie and JB remain a significant part of their parents' lives. This case not only reflects a personal tragedy for the Hawletts, but also illustrates the broader emotional and psychological impacts that such violent crimes have on victims' families. The sentencing of Coley McCraney brought a sense of closure to the families of Tracie Hawlett and J.B. Beasley, who had waited patiently for over 2 decades to see justice served. The unwavering dedication of investigators, prosecutors, and judges involved in this case has ensured that McCraney will face the consequences of his heinous crimes. In the words of Judge William Fillmore, justice has been served. Today, we honor the memories of Tracie Hawlett and J.B. Beasley, and we ensure that their killer will spend the rest of his life in prison where he belongs. As the courtroom erupted into a mix of tears and relief, the families of the victims finally found solace in the knowledge that justice had been served. The sentence may not bring back their loved ones, but it serves as a testament to the unyielding pursuit of justice and the unwavering resolve of those who refuse to let innocent lives be forgotten. When Coley McCraney was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the brutal murders of Tracie Hawlett and J.B. Beasley, his wife Jeanette McCraney's world came crashing down. The courtroom was filled with a mix of emotions as the verdict was read, but none more poignant than the heartbreaking reaction of Jeanette, who had stood by her husband throughout the ordeal. Jeanette's face contorted as the judge delivered the sentence, her eyes fixed on her husband as the reality of the situation sank in. The woman who had steadfastly maintained her husband's innocence, who had supported him through thick and thin, was now forced to confront the harsh truth. The man she loved, the father of her children, would spend the rest of his life behind bars. As the courtroom erupted into a mixture of tears and relief, Jeanette's body shook with sobs. She clutched her face as if trying to hold together the shattered pieces of her life. Her eyes, once full of hope and defiance, now brimmed with tears, her gaze fixed on the man she had stood by for so long. The weight of the sentence crushed her, the realization that her life would never be the same again. Throughout the trial, Jeanette maintained that her husband was innocent and that he was a good man who had been wrongly accused. She had spoken of his kindness, his compassion, and his dedication to their family. But now, as the verdict was read, she was forced to confront the truth. The man she loved, the man she had defended, was a killer. As Jeanette left the courtroom, her world was in tatters, and she faced an uncertain future. Bidding farewell to her husband, Jeanette's eyes locked on his, a silent understanding passing between them. She knew that she would never again feel his embrace or hear his voice whisper words of love and encouragement. The man she loved was gone, lost in the darkness of his own crimes. In that moment, Jeanette McCraney's heart broke into a million pieces, and her life was forever changed by the harsh realities of justice. Despite the conviction, the church community continues to grapple with the complexities of the situation. McCraney's involvement in church activities and his role as a spiritual leader had left a positive impression on many, making the revelations of his crimes particularly jarring. The church has focused on offering prayers and support for all affected families, including the victims' families, emphasizing healing and reconciliation within the community. This case has deeply affected the Ozark Baptist Church and the broader community, prompting reflection on trust, forgiveness, and the long-term impacts of unresolved crimes. The church's response highlights the importance of community support and spiritual guidance in times of crisis. After the sentencing of Coley McCraney, the families of the victims expressed a mixture of relief and lingering sorrow, reflecting on their long ordeal and the enduring impact of their loss. Carol Hawlett, Tracie Hawlett's mother, spoke poignantly about the lasting emptiness left by her daughter's death. "I think the hardest thing that we've gone through is holidays with an empty chair that Tracie should have been in," she said, highlighting the pain they were forced to endure. Carol's words underscored the emotional toll on the family, which has had to navigate life without Tracie for more than 2 decades. Cheryl Burgood, J.B. Beasley's mother, also conveyed her deep sense of loss and anger. "It hurts so bad. I'm so angry," she said during the sentencing. Cheryl's statement reflected the raw emotions that have remained with her since her daughter's murder, emphasizing the profound grief and frustration that the family continues to endure. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, who prosecuted the case, also acknowledged the family's suffering and the prolonged wait for justice. The families of J.B. Beasley and Tracie Hawlett have prayed for over 2 decades that their daughter's murderer would be brought to justice. While we cannot bring back their loved ones, we hope today's sentencing will bring them some level of closure, he stated, recognizing both the achievement of justice and the irreplaceable loss felt by the families. The court's decision to sentence McCraney to life without parole brought a measure of justice, yet it also served as a reminder of the irreversible impact of his crimes on the lives of the families involved. The emotional statements from Carol Roberts Hawlett and Cheryl Burgood Beasley highlighted the personal and enduring nature of their grief, even as the legal process reached its conclusion. And with that said, we have come to the end of this video. What do you think about the case and how it was handled? Let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and we will see you in our next video.